Good morning, all. Today's topic of discussion is digital CMOS circuits. This is the fourth unit of the course VLSI Design and Technology for the class B ENTC. For this unit, the CO, that is the course outcome, is defined as design CMOS circuits for specified applications. The Bloom's taxonomy level for this is 5. It covers the content as NMOS, PMOS, and CMOS, MOSFET parasitic, technology scaling, channel length modulation, hot electron effect, velocity saturation, CMOS inverter, device sizing, CMOS combinational logic design, power dissipation, power delay product, body effect, rise and fall time, latch-up effect, and transmission gate. The CO is mapped with different POs. So it is mapped with PO1 as engineering principles are used to design the various CMOS circuits. It is also mapped with PO2 as it involves the analysis of CMOS system design issues. It is mapped with PO3 because we have to design the various CMOS circuits. It is mapped with PO4 because we have to investigate the complex CMOS circuits. It is mapped with PO5 because we have to do the functional and timing simulation of CMOS circuits using the modern tool such as Microwind. It is mapped with PO12 because we have to develop CMOS circuits considering advancements in the technology. It is also mapped with PSOs like PSO 1 and 2 because we have to analyze the CMOS circuits for specified applications and implement the CMOS circuit using Microwind tool. So objective of this particular lecture is to make the students familiarize with NMOS, PMOS and short channel effects in MOSFET. So let us start with the NMOS transistor. The structure of the NMOS transistor is shown in this diagram. This MOSFET is a symmetrical device and you can see on both the sides on a p-type substrate we have the N plus regions. So any region we can make it as source or drain, and as per that we can define the terminals. And in between we can see that the substrate is isolated with the help of the SiO2 layer, and then through the metal it is connected to the gate terminal. So the gate terminal is isolated from the substrate, and thus we have the three terminals for this device, that is source, drain, and the center terminal is gate. The source terminal should always be at lower potential than the drain for the N channel FET. The bulk, that is the substrate, have the lowest potential to ensure the reverse bias PN junction. So no current should flow between the drain and the source. So it is an N channel MOSFET, and we can see the dimensions of the channel, that is indicated as capital L. This channel length is the important parameter for any MOSFET because that decides the size of the device, and that is expressed as the technology scale. The technology scale is reducing day by day, hence the channel length for the MOSFET is also reducing. So in this particular lecture we will be studying the details of this MOSFET and what are the different effects of reducing the channel length. So this N-channel MOSFET is built on a P-type substrate. These MOS devices are smaller than BJT. So you must have studied BJTs earlier. And MOS devices consume less power than BJT. So this is the most important advantage of this MOS technology, that it consumes very less power. We'll see how this MOSFET operates and we'll see the different regions of operation. So the first region of operation is triode region, which is divided into two parts based on the value of VDS. VDS is small, then it is a resistive region of operation. If VDS is slightly greater, that is it is less than VGS minus VT, then that results into the non-linear operation. Now one by one we'll see the details of operation. So first we'll go for this resistive operation. So for this resistive operation, the source to body voltage, that is VSB, is kept 0, and VGS, that is the voltage between gate and source, is greater than VT, where VT is the threshold voltage for a particular device. So in further slides we'll see more details about this VT, that is a threshold voltage. This VGS is greater than VT. So N channel is induced. You can see the blue region over here. So this is that blue region. You can see it is shown as inversion layer. So this is established. And a current can flow between source and drain. So if this VGS is greater than VT and VDS is small, then it will result into the inversion. Then next is the non-linear region of operation, in which we can see that the same condition is there, that is VGS is greater than VT. The same condition, VGS greater than VT. And now VDS is slightly increased, that is the voltage between drain and source. So if this voltage is increased, then it is less than VGS minus VT, but it is now slightly increased. So if it is increased, then in that case the inversion layer which is built, that will start reducing. The inversion layer will start reducing. And this region of operation is called as the ohmic region. So increasing VDS to a value greater than 0 leads to the current ID, and near the drain the voltage responsible for the inversion is VGS minus VT minus VDS, and thus smaller than the voltage at the source. And the channel acts like a linear resistor, and that's why the region of operation is called as the ohmic region of operation. And you can see the inversion layer which was from source to drain, which is uniformly spread, will now having the reduction of the strength over here. The electric field is also reduced. We can just see here the electric field was quite high and now it is reduced. The next region of operation is saturation, and before that it is active region. So here the condition is VDS is now greater than or equal to VGS minus VT. So previously VDS was less and now it is greater than or equal to VGS minus VT. So that results into the active region, and we can see this figure which indicates the reduction in the inversion layer, further reduction. So previous case it was reduced, and now you can see this region is quite reduced, and there is a depletion region now formed between the drain and the source. And you can see the electric field is also absent in this depletion region. So if VDS rises to the point where VGS minus VT it is equal to that, there is no voltage near the drain to induce an inversion layer, and the channel is pinched off. So this condition is called as the pinched off condition, means gradually this inversion layer is reduced. So there is a region in which there is no inversion layer. So that is called as a pinched off channel. And if further now VDS is increased, what will happen? Further increasing VDS causes the pinch off point to move in the direction of source. So gradually this depletion region will start increasing and the inversion layer will start reducing. The voltage at which pinch off point is always VGS minus VT. When the electron coming from the source reaches the pinch off point, they are injected into the depleted region, and the electric field in this region sweeps the electrons from the pinch off point to the drain, and gradually that depletion region will start increasing. So this condition is called as the saturation condition. So you'll see the operation in more details. So we have started with VGS 0. So as VGS increases from 0, holes in the P substrate are repelled from the gate area, leaving the negative ions behind, and the depletion region is created, and no current flows since no carriers are available. So when VGS will be equal to 0, no carriers, so there is no conduction, no current will flow. Now as VGS is increased, the width of depletion region and the potential at the oxide silicon interface also increase, and when the interface potential reaches a sufficiently positive value, electrons flow in the channel and the transistor is turned on. So as we'll start increasing VG from 0 onwards, at certain level of VG there is a formation of electron channel, and then the current will start flowing and the device will become on. Now if VG is increased further, the charge in the depletion region remains relatively constant and the channel current continues to increase. So we'll see this triode region, and you can just see that is also called as the inversion region, in which there is a formation of inversion layer over here. And you can see the potentials which are applied. The source terminal is kept at the ground potential, because we have studied that always the drain potential should be greater than the source potential. For the drain terminal, between the drain and source, because now source is connected to ground, we have applied the positive potential VDS, and to the gate terminal also we have provided the positive potential VGS. And due to that, the electrons will get attracted towards this gate terminal and there is a formation of inversion layer. And the equations for the ID, that is the drain current, voltage between drain and source, it is indicated over here, those conditions. And the gate oxide capacitance which will get formed is also shown. And this is the characteristic which is plotted. Now here the FET is like just like a linear resistor with the value of resistance as RDS, which is given as 1 divided by mu NCOX W by L VGS minus VT, where W and L are width and length of this channel. VGS is the gate to source voltage, VT is the threshold voltage, and with that we can see that the resistance is inversely proportional to all these values. So it is acting just like a linear resistor. So we can see that with increase in voltage, current increases. So all these characteristics are plotted, and this is a linear relationship between the ID and the VDS. So as this VDS voltage is increasing, current ID is also linearly increasing. So this is also called as a triode region for the MOSFET. Now about that VT voltage, that is called as the MOS threshold voltage. The value of VG, that is the gate voltage, for which the channel is inverted. Inverted means there is a formation of the uh, channel by electrons just beneath the gate, that is called as the inverted. It is called as the threshold voltage VT. The characteristic of this threshold voltage is it depends upon the equilibrium potential controlled by the inversion in channel. It is adjusted by implantation of dopants into the channel, can be positive or negative, and it is influenced by the body effect. Now we'll move towards the second region, that is also a triode region, but triode 2. It is also called as the ohmic region. Now as discussed earlier, in this ohmic region, the value of VDS is further increased and it is now greater than 0. So it leads to the current ID. The value of ID is given by this equation. And near the drain, the voltage responsible for the inversion is VGS minus VT minus VDS, and thus smaller than the near the source. So charge distribution is non-uniform across the channel. So previously you can in the first triode region the channel was uniform, and now it has the distribution of electric charge is now uneven. There is a less charge induced in the proximity of drain. So near the drain you can see there is a less charge. So this region is now started slightly reducing. This is also called as the ohmic region because there is a linear relationship between the drain current and the drain to source voltage. Now further, if that voltage is increased, then we can obtain the condition which is called as the pinch-off condition. In this pinch-off condition, VDS is greater than VGS minus VT, and you can see this channel which was created is now reducing further. So this is delta, which is now the depletion region, and this depletion region will start gradually increasing as this VGS voltage starts increasing, and this is that small channel which was previously established that has started now reducing. So with further increase in the VDS voltage, we will reach to the condition which is called as the saturation condition. So this is the characteristic for MOSFET. So ID, that is the drain current, is plotted versus VDS, that is the drain to source voltage. So as drain to source voltage is increased, so initially in the triode region there is a linear relationship which is also called as the ohmic region, and after that it becomes an active region in which the further increase in VDS will start reducing the channel and ID will not increase anymore. So in the saturation, the channel is pinched off. Increase in VDS has little effect on ID. So just now we have seen in that graph, even if that VDS is increasing, ID is not increasing much. Square law behavior with respect to VGS minus VT and acts like a current source. Now we'll go to the next point, that is device scaling. So we have studied the operation of MOSFET in more detail, and now we'll go for the device scaling. Now what do you mean by device scaling? So we have seen the diagram for the MOSFET, and in that diagram we have seen the width of the channel, that W, capital W. capital W is the width, and then we have also seen one more dimension, that is the capital L, which is the length of the channel. So this W and L are the important parameters for any MOSFET, and this decides the device scale. So reduction of size, that is the dimensions of MOSFET, is called as scaling. The operating characteristic of MOS transistor will change with reduction in its dimensions. So till certain level, the operation will not change. Whatever we have studied, the same operation will remain over there. But if further we'll go on reducing the channel length, some special effects can be observed in the operation of the MOSFET. So operating characteristic will change with reduction in its dimensions. Next, the physical constraints restrict the extent of scaling. So we cannot go beyond certain limit. We have reduced the scale, that is W and L, but beyond certain limit we cannot go below that value. A factor S, which is greater than 1, is introduced as the scaling factor. All horizontal and vertical dimensions of the large size transistor are divided by S to obtain the scaled device. So we can reduce that W and L, but in a particular proportion or a scale. So randomly we cannot change that W and L. There is a certain relationship. So there are two scaling strategies. One is full scaling, that is the constant field scaling, and the other is constant voltage scaling. So we'll not go into much details of these scaling strategies because that is not the part of the syllabus. Now, as the technology scale is reducing day by day, it is important to study the effect of this reduced channel on the operation of MOS transistor. So as the technology scaling reaches the channel length less than 1 micron, the second order effects that were ignored in devices with long channel length becomes very important. So the devices which are having the channel length less than 1 micrometer, we can observe certain special effects in the operation of MOSFET. So those we have to study. So MOSFETs sporting those dimensions are called short channel devices. So, and the main second order effects are velocity saturation, threshold voltage variation, and the hot carrier effects. So one by one we are going to study these effects for the short channel MOS transistors. So first we'll go for this velocity saturation. The behavior of the short channel devices deviates considerably from this model. So in this graph we can see the graph is drawn for both long channel device and the short channel device. So this upper one is for the long channel device and this lower one is for the short channel device. So we can see as this VDS changes, with change in VDS for the long channel means the normal MOSFET operation which we studied. Initially there is a linear region of operation and then you can see there is a saturation. The ID, there is no much change in ID with change in or increase in VDS. But for the short channel device, if you'll see this ohmic region or the linear resistance region is not at all present. It is very very small. Only during the initial small value of VD, that is called as VD sat, there is a change and after that it becomes saturated. So short channel devices display an extended saturation region due to the velocity saturation. So the equation which is given over here, in this equation you can see this mu n term is there. So equation assumes the mobility as a constant independent of value of electric field E. And at the high electric field, carriers fail to follow this linear model. And this is due to the velocity saturation effect. So this mu n we have considered as constant, but that changes uh, as the electric field will change. We'll learn about voltage, threshold voltage variation. Threshold voltage means VT value. For the long channel NMOS transistor, the threshold voltage is only a function of technology and the applied body bias, that is called as VSB, that is voltage between substrate and a body. Sorry, source and a body. For short channel devices, this model becomes inaccurate and the threshold voltage becomes function of L, W and VDS. So for the normal operation of the MOSFET which we studied earlier, the threshold voltage depends only on technology and the applied bias VSB. But now for the short channel devices, it depends upon length, width of the channel and the voltage VDS also. And this is the graph in which it is clearly shown. So the first graph is VT versus L. So we can see that for the long channel devices, that is when the length of the channel is greater, VT is almost constant. But now here for the short length, you can just see threshold is a function of length. So this VT changes with length if the length is small. For the long channel devices, this threshold is almost constant. It is not a function of length. Now you can see the second graph which is VT versus VDS. The drain induced barrier lowering. So this is the voltage that VDS is lowering. I'll see the next important effect on the in case of a short channel MOSFET, that is the channel length modulation. The reverse bias PN junction form a depletion region. So you can concentrate on this diagram. So this is a PN junction, this is your P substrate and this is N plus region. So there is a formation of a PN junction between these two and it is reversed bias. So you can see there is a formation of depletion region around this N plus region which is shown with this blue color. So reverse bias PN junction form a depletion region and the region between N and P is with no carriers. There are no carriers. Width of depletion LD grows with the reverse bias and the effective length of the channel is equal to the L minus LD. So this with reverse bias, this LD is increasing and this effective channel length is also reducing. So L effective is equal to L minus LD. So shorter L effect gives more current. So as this L effective will start reducing, the IDS, that is drain to source current, increases with VDS and even it will enter into the saturation. So with depletion layer widening, the channel length is in effect reduced from L to L minus delta L and this leads to the following IV relationship. So this reduction in the channel length, so you can see this is a channel. So previously this was the length of the channel and that is equal to capital L. Now this depletion width is delta L which is increasing. So if this delta L will start increasing, this effective channel length will start reducing. So this is called as the channel length modulation effect. This channel length modulation causes ID to increase with VDS in the saturation region. So in the previous part of this characteristic, when VDS was 0, and we have started increasing VDS. So there is a linear region which is called as a triode region. After that there is a saturation region. So channel length modulation causes this ID to increase with VDS. So in the previous graph for the long channel, we have seen that almost after this there is a very slight increase in ID with VDS. Almost it is constant. But now for the short channel length, you can see there is further increase in ID with VDS value. So it is in saturation region also there is a linear increase in ID. So this is due to the channel length modulation. The next important effect that we are going to study is the hot carrier effect. So what is this hot carrier effect? During the last decade, transistor dimensions are were scaled down, but not the power supply. So we have reduced the transistor size, but the power supply which we are using is not reduced much. The resulting increase in the electric field strength causes an increasing energy of electrons. So the excitation which we are giving, that is remaining same, and the size of the device is reducing. So that will result into the high electric field strength. Some electrons are able to leave the silicon and tunnel into the gate oxide. This is the effect of that high electric field strength. Such electrons are called the hot carriers because they are excited, they are having more energy. So electrons trapped into the oxide change the VT of the transistor, that is the threshold voltage is changed because of this, and this leads to a long-term reliability problem. So the operation will not be reliable, the device may get damaged at any time. So for an electron to become hot, an electric field of 10 to the power 4 volt per centimeter is necessary, and this condition is easily met with the channel length below 1 micrometer because the supply voltage is same and the channel length is reduced to below 1 micrometer. So the electric field is much greater, and because of that the electrons become hot, that is they are having the high energy. So you can see that effect of hot carriers in the graph. So the solid lines in the graph indicate the fresh or the normal operation, and the dotted lines indicate the degraded operation. The hot carrier causes the IV characteristic of NMOS transistor to degrade from extensive usage. So after the more usage, the device will start damaging. Another important effect that we would like to study is the body effect. So VT, that is the threshold voltage. This VT, it is the gate voltage necessary to invert the channel. So to have the inversion layer below the gate. Increases if the source voltage increases because source is connected to channel. And increase in VT with VS is called the body effect. So VS should always be grounded actually, but if the VS increases then VT will also increase, and this is called as the body effect. So potential on the substrate affects the threshold voltage, and it is how it is affecting, that is given by this formula. Now in this formula we can see that the threshold voltage should be actually VT0, but that is added with some values because of the potential on the substrate, and these are the values for Fermi potential and the body bias coefficient. Now the next point that we are going to study is the gate capacitance. So the stray devices are developed between the different terminals of the MOSFET. So the important stray device is the gate capacitance. So between gate and the various parts of the MOSFET, the different capacitances get formed because gate is isolated from the device. There is no direct connection between gate and the other parts of the device. So there are three different conditions shown over here. The first condition is VGT less than 0. And here you can see there is a formation of three capacitances, that is CGSO, then CGC and CGDO. So that is the capacitance between gate and source, capacitance between gate and the substrate, then capacitance between gate and drain. Now the value of these capacitances depends on the biasing. So this is another condition of biasing in which VGT is greater than 0 and VDS is small, in which you can see the inversion layer is formed in between. And there is the third condition of biasing, that is VGT greater than 0 and VDS is also large, where there is a formation of depletion region between this P and N, and this channel is reducing. So this gate capacitance CG determines the amount of charge to switch gate. Then the several distributed components are there. Just now we have seen there are different capacitances formed between the different leads of the MOSFET. Large discontinuity as the device turns on. At saturation, capacitance is entirely between gate and source. The capacitance between gate and source is given by this formula. Then capacitance between gate and drain, the second formula. And in this formula, you can see the term X is there, and that X is nothing but VDS divided by VGS minus VT. So we can expect the capacitance between every two of the four terminals. So we have drain, gate, source and body. So this is your drain terminal, this is the gate. So between drain and gate we have the capacitance CGD. Between gate and source we have the capacitance CGS. Between source and body we have the capacitances CSB, and between this gate and body also we have one capacitance, that is CGB. Then similarly between drain and body we have CDB. So likewise there are different MOS capacitances. So between any two leads we can see there is a formation of one capacitor. Now we have studied the details of NMOS transistor. Now we will go for this PMOS device. We will just see the comparative study. We will not go into much details because more or less the operation is very similar. So which are the different important things that we should remember is, for the P MOSFET, all the polarities are reversed from the NMOS. So whatever NMOS study we have done, exactly reverse polarities are applicable for the PMOS transistor. VGS, VDS and VT are negative, and you can just see the characteristic for the P MOSFET. It is exactly in the opposite quadrant of operation. We have the negative values for VGS, VDS and VT, but the nature of the characteristic is same. Current ID enters source and leaves through the drain. Hole mobility is lower, which tends to the low transconductance, and NMOS favored over PMOS. So people like to use NMOS device because it is easier to apply the positive potential as compared to negative, and to remember the characteristic in a reverse fashion. Thank you.